announcements for ECE 115. I always like to start with kind of a snapshot of what's going on. We're in week 2. If you guys will look forward to week 3, you'll notice that we have kind of a unique assignment coming up in week 3. So I wanted to give you a heads up on that. In week 3, instead of doing a chapter quiz, you're going to be doing an assessment of yourself. So you're going to have to start this on Monday. So next Monday, November 16th, you're going to, for the week, just Monday through Friday, you're going to focus on active listening. It's very important to use active listening, not just when communicating with your students, with your ECE kiddos, but also with their families as well. This class deals a lot with the importance of communication and how to communicate effectively. I think this is a really great exercise. So, if you read page 217 in your book on family and staff relationships, and you think about the idea of what active listening is, which is having your whole attention on the person, maybe repeating what you're hearing them say, and communicating well, not being on the cell phone while they're trying to talk to you, not being distracted. It's complete engaged listening. So this is what you're going to do next week, Monday through Friday. During this time, be very aware of how you conduct yourself and respond to others. Now, I realize you can't do this the whole time you're away, but just try to remind yourself to think about this. Each day, you're going to make a journal entry about that day. How you were able to actively listen, or how you failed to actively listen. So what I would like for you to do, don't write a journal for the whole day. I would just like for you to make note of one incident for each day, whether it was an incident of being a good active listener or failing at active listening. So, a paragraph about the day's events, how you reacted, should do for each day of the week, and your journal should start out on Monday and go until Friday. So you should have 5 paragraphs for this activity for next week. So I wanted to put that out there so you guys can start thinking about it. You can start reading through it and figure out your plan on how you're going to maybe take notes for the day of your active listening, or how you're going to type up your journal. So it's kind of unique. You don't have to take a test though. So you get a week off from testing, and that's great too. And also, don't forget our live lecture summary. Those of you that are here, fantastic. Those of you that didn't make it, that's okay too. I know things come up. You have jobs, you have families. So just be sure after you're done watching this video that you give me a nice 250-word summary of the lecture from start to finish, and submit that via my course connection on our course page. Week 2 will be where this one will go, because I want you to get these points. Our live lectures for our courses are worth 100 points, so it's very important that you attend. So going back to week 3, since I won't be able to talk to you before Monday, are there any questions on that active listening activity? Does that make sense on what you'll need to do? Maybe like a yes or a hands up, just anything, let me know. No questions. You guys got it? Okay. Okay, great. Well, good. Well, if you were no questions, all right, so if you do come up with any questions, please be sure to ask me. I'd be glad to help clarify some more. Next thing, in our class tonight, we're going to go over a little bit about creating developmentally appropriate classrooms. Developmentally appropriate classrooms are very important. Developmentally appropriate practices are something that we talk about quite a bit in our courses, because it's huge right now in early childhood education, and I want you to be familiar with it so that when you're out there, when you're teaching Anybody want to weigh in on that? Rita, let me know. Smiley face. Your husband was not smiley face. Okay, I'm taking the smiley face then. Okay, my smiley face pointer is out now. DAP refers to the individual or the child, how old the child is, the age, and also what social atmosphere or what culture this child has been raised in. So developmentally appropriate practices apply to each of these areas. We're going to go over some more here in just a minute. I want you to read real quick the rationale for developmentally appropriate practices. So this is why we say DAP is important. Developmentally appropriate practice involves providing learning environments, instructional content, and pedagogical practices that are responsive to the major attributes and salient needs and interests of a given life period in order to facilitate continuing developmental progress. So what does that mean? Because that was a mouthful right there. In other words, oh, Jasmine's here too. Wonderful. In other words, DAP is an approach to teaching grounded in the research of how young children develop and how they learn. I like this sentence a little bit better. So it's an approach to teaching. That's okay. We're glad you're here, Jasmine. It's an approach to teaching, and we consider how young the child is, how they're developing, and in what ways they learn, or maybe that they learn best. And developmentally appropriate practice is not a curriculum. So I don't want you to think of DAP as a curriculum. It's more of a guideline. So a guideline for what makes a curriculum developmentally appropriate. Let's say we have an example of some ECE curriculum in front of us, and we're reading through it. Maybe we're using some of these guidelines. These guidelines would help tell us if this curriculum is appropriate or matched to the children that we would be teaching. Is it appropriate to their age? Is it appropriate to their culture? There's lots of things that go into making a curriculum developmentally appropriate. And here's an example. You probably wouldn't take an early childhood curriculum that we used, say, in Texas. Let's just pick a random state. You probably wouldn't use a curriculum used and developed maybe in Texas with items that are specific to Texas. Maybe it's got state history in it. Maybe it talks about living in the South. You wouldn't want to use that same curriculum in Alaska because we're talking about two vastly different climates, number one, but we're also talking about two very different cultures as well. This reminds me of when some state tests were coming out some years ago, and a lot of the kids in rural communities were not doing so well on one of these test questions that were asking them about bus fare because these children had never ridden the bus. So it needs to be appropriate to where this child lives. Also, teachers use this set of guidelines to help them make sound decisions because sometimes decisions have to be made concerning curriculum. Maybe you actually get to choose your own curriculum. This does happen in some centers. Other centers, they choose the curriculum and it's implemented center-wide. So it depends on where you're at. Now here's some of the barriers. And I think you're going to maybe see a few examples of these in the news right now. Maybe you've seen some articles. According to NAEYC, if you guys don't know what that means, that's or it might be something that you belong to someday. It might be a association that you want to join because it will look fantastic on your resume. And you can join it cheaper as a student than you can when you graduate. So it might be something that you want to do maybe near the end of your college courses so that you can get that low student rate. So one of NAEYC's goals of early childhood education is helping each child to be ready to learn when he or she enters school has not been fully realized yet. So one of the barriers, according to NAEYC, the goal of early childhood education is helping each child be ready to learn when he or she enters school has not been fully realized. So first of all, I want you to consider that enter school means pre-K or kindergarten is usually what they're referring to. So you guys think about that for just a minute. This single barrier. Why are we not seeing this fully realized? What are some of the reasons why we might see a child not ready to learn by pre-K or kindergarten? Just think about it real quick. And give me a few ideas in the chat box. Think about each individual child. What could be a barrier that causes them to not be ready to learn? What do you think? There's lots of different ones. Great ones here. Yes, maybe there's a learning disability. Lack of early learning of parents. What could be learning disability? Yes, exactly. Maybe their children, maybe the parents didn't even graduate from high school, right? Maybe they have early learning experiences somewhere else. So learning disabled, lack of education, maybe the parents or educational environment provided by the parents, right? And what else? What are some other things? There's lots of different reasons when we look at young children as to why they're just not quite ready. Let's see if we come up with a couple more real quick. Sometimes money situations stop them from getting to learn. I understand that too. Preschools can definitely be expensive. That's right. That's right. And here's the thing, we're seeing a lot of free preschools out there being offered by different states, by different institutions. Many of those are income-based. So if you're low income, lots of times you can get in these programs and they're fantastic. If you're upper income, you've got that extra cash to spend on preschool, but it's kind of the people in the middle that seem to be falling through the cracks, and maybe they can't afford that. Distractions, right? There could be distractions within the family. Also, think about the child. Would you think, is there a difference between a boy starting school and a girl starting school at a young age? Have you guys seen this developmentally? What do we normally see in the boys versus girls area with starting school and being ready? Yeah, ages. Actually, bringing that up, yes, think about kindergarten. And maybe you have a child that just turned 5. Maybe they turned 5 August 15th. You know, different schools have different cutoff dates or different states. So say we've got a child that's been 4 years old all through the summer, and all of a sudden they're 5 right before school starts. They're not going to be normally developmentally as ready as, say, the child that waited until they were 6 to start kindergarten. So sometimes we'll hold them back ages. Also, we see girls tend to develop a little bit closer than boys go, okay, everybody is going to be ready at the age of 5 to begin formal education. They're just not. Economic goals are another barrier. Economic goals for schooling place pressure on schools to teach more and more cognitive material to younger and younger children. So again, I want to reach out to you guys. How are you seeing any examples of this in early childhood education? And by early childhood, I mean anywhere from infant up to 8 years old. So what are you seeing as far as these economic goals for these schools and pushing more and more cognitive material? Oh, when he was 3. Yeah, Lita. Some start as soon as they're 6 weeks old. I think it's the earliest they can start is hold the tap. So are you seeing an example of this with more and more cognitive or educational material younger? I see a few people typed in there. I know, it's dark outside and our brains are starting to shut down. We're kind of like the chickens, aren't we? Sarah will understand that. The chickens, when the sun goes down, it's like their brain just shuts off. That's when they get caught by predators is at night because you can sneak up on them so easy. Don't get stuck up on. Oh, because he had learning disabilities. Actually, that's fantastic. So he needed that early intervention. That's good. It's 9:54 here. It's been dark since 5. Yes. It's hard, Sarah. The struggle is real. I know. Your niece, okay, so my niece is in daycare, like school. She is only 1. They teach them songs, colors, and numbers at the age of 1. You're right. So the question was, the second part of the slide, economic goals for schooling are placing pressure on public schools to teach more and more cognitive material to younger and younger children. So just what you had said, and training them eating and going to the bathroom. Now those to me are very realistic things that you start in early childhood. We should be teaching them about the world. We should be teaching them about eating. That's great. But what I see is by preschool, they have lots of worksheets to complete throughout the day for our 4-year-olds. And they also have lots of worksheets to complete in kindergarten. And I don't mean coloring sheets. I mean math sheets and English and maybe we're journaling a little bit. So they're a little Common Core, that's right. So they're pushing formal schooling, the teaching of, say, math concepts, science concepts, to an earlier and earlier age. And so what we're seeing is sort of a backlash to that now. They're saying, no, these children at an early age are being asked to sit in their chairs for a long time. They're not getting as much outdoor time and eat. They're not getting as much art and creative time. So I think what we're going to see, I hope, is in the next few years we're going to see that added back again. And teaching them, yes, they're teaching them to read earlier and earlier. Now, the research is still up in the air as far as if that's the best thing to do. Now, I'm all for reading to them, and if they're ready to read, that's fantastic. But to me, there shouldn't be any pressure in early childhood to be reading at a certain level. So we'll see what happens. As soon as they came, I was reading mine in the womb. I swear, Sarah. Yeah, I understand that. Reading is so important, but it's the pressure, putting the pressure on being able to read sentences and paragraphs diagnosis, the least if there are some, and establishing reciprocal relationships with families. And we've talked about that in several of our discussion boards now, the importance of communicating with our families and some of the different ways that we can do that. When we're making decisions in a DAP way, developmentally appropriate practice way, teachers have to consider the age of the child, the individual, if they're really ready for this, and their social and cultural appropriateness. So how do we do that? We go through a child-centered instruction. Now to me, if we take a group of, say, 15 3-year-olds, let's pick 3. We take 15 3-year-olds, and we put them in a classroom in desks or tables, and we expect them to do a group assignment nice and quietly. That's not necessarily developmentally appropriate, but to do small groups, maybe one table at a time, using activity centers, which we love, using project-based learning as opposed to quizzing or testing or worksheeting the kids to death. We want to do a project instead. Provision for student choice. They have them to be able to choose which thing that they would want to do over the other. And I think I've told you guys before, it's always a trick, especially with 2-year-olds and 3-year-olds. It's very important that they have their choices. But if you're presenting them with a couple things, like would you like to wear the blue coat or the red coat, the thing that you're wanting them to choose, if you'll say that last, they're more likely to choose that. So you can kind of give them a choice, but steer them in the right direction. Joint teacher-student planning for learning activities, so you can ask them sort of what they want to learn about. Volunteer in the classroom, yes. And integrating the content into your whole day. So child-centered instruction. And like we mentioned before, individual differences. Biologically, if they're male or female, it makes a difference. And also genetically, because we know that certain traits are passed on parent to child. So this does make a difference in their development. Psychologically, are they ready for this environment? Socially, have they been in a family that is socially secure? Have they been in an environment that encourages learning? It can make a big difference. And culturally, what are their cultural milestones? So when are they considered in a certain culture, moving from maybe a baby to early childhood or infant or toddler, because this may differ. Or for a teenager, if we go up into older years, when does a teenager become an adult? And this varies depending on the country that they're from and the culture that they're in. We go a little bit into, with DAP, nature versus nurture. Nature versus nurture is just basically what has made me who I am. So thinking about who you are. Was it your environment, nature, your family, those adults that are around you, maybe your siblings? I'm sorry, that would be your nurture. Or was it your nature as far as how you were born and genetically what you're predisposed to? What we're finding out more and more is that we really can't say which one or the other, or which is more important. It's actually both. It's equally weighed that what you were born with and then what environment you've been in is really what goes in to make you who you are and how you feel about things and how you learn. Now, since we've been talking about communication with families, I thought it's important to bring this up. We want to, with DAP policies, with DAP guidelines, it's very important that we include the family. We want to establish a relationship with them so that they feel like they're part of the process, to be able to collaborate, to be part of it, let them know that they're welcome to the program at any time that they can drop in and acknowledge the teachers acknowledging the parents' choices and goals and being respectful of that when they have made certain choices for their children. So it's very important that we establish this relationship because it's not them against us. It's the teachers and the families working together for the benefit of the child. Also, teachers and parents share knowledge of the child. They communicate. We talked about in a couple of our case studies that when it was time to send a note home or call a parent-teacher conference versus maybe when it's okay to send an email or text message less formally, Facebook, other social media. So it varies on the child and it varies on the situation. Teachers involve families for assessing and planning. Teachers lead families to social services whenever needed. And teachers share information as the children move from one program to another. There's some great programs that the teacher actually follows the child as through the grades, and I love that the teachers and the children are able to establish a relationship and grow each year. They don't have to get used to a different teacher, and the teacher doesn't have to get used to them, so it really knocks out some of that awkwardness in the beginning of the new classroom. So sharing information. Every teacher needs to improve, not because they are not good enough, but because they can be even better. I love this quote because I know that for myself as a teacher, my goal is every time I teach a class, whether it's on site in front of people or it's online, like with you guys, every time I teach a class, my goal is to make it a little bit better. I try to take notes about what worked or what didn't work, or maybe things that I need to change, or maybe I'll see things happening in the world that I need to bring to your attention. And I think that's exactly what you guys will do as an early childhood educator. Right now it's all about developmentally appropriate practice. Maybe in 5 years we're going to have a different term. Oh, thank you, Lita. You're awesome. Thank you. Well, I'm great, but I can always get better, right? I never consider myself great. Always making things better, always researching, always finding out, trying out different teaching practices, trying out different curriculum. So as a teacher, that's what I want you to strive for. Never think that you're going to get into a situation where you're teaching the same thing every year, because that just won't happen. Your children are going to change, curriculum is going to change. Pretty much every year it's going to be different. And you have to be okay with going with the flow, with being part of that change. Okay? Any questions? We got done just a little bit earlier tonight. And it's now after 10 for Sarah. I'm sorry. That is a late night for a lecture. I completely understand when you start your job and you need to just watch the lecture. I have some students with work nights too. They're unable to come to the live lecture, so don't worry about it. The main thing is, if you guys ever do this, please be sure to get that summary so I can get your points. You guys, do you have any questions concerning tonight? Do you have any questions concerning the assignments this week? No? You got it? We have our usual 2 discussion boards. You have your quiz, and I think we have all of our calendar dates ironed back out. I'm sorry for that issue of the weekend that if you saw they had it maybe in a different time zone and the time change threw us off. So, oh, okay, great. I'll look here in just a minute. That'd be wonderful. Good. Okay, good, Sarah. Right. Working ahead is great. Guys, I have another student that is in a self-study class, and even though we're only in week 2, she's now working on week 4 content, which is fantastic. She's really getting things out of the way the best you can. So, gosh, she may have the final week of class off because she's already taken the quizzes as well. So if you do get a chance, it's fine to work it out. I'm fine with that. All right. So if you don't have any more questions, Lita, you have a good night too. If you don't have any more questions, you guys are welcome to go. Skedaddle on down the road.